Welcome to Q&A with JP and Bub Coons. This is our loving pastor, JP Jones, and we are talking about a very sensitive subject today. And the topic of today is, what is the Christian response to the whole pro-life, pro-choice abortion thing?
Yeah. Well, in one respect, it ought to be very simple because the Bible's just abundantly clear that God creates life and every person matters to God. We're created in the image of God and that life begins in the womb. And the scriptures are very clear about that. So you would think it would be a simple issue that every believer would be able to understand. But unfortunately, they don't because there's some complicating factors. I think people... we were talking on another segment talking about how our morality,
Right.
influences our theology, and so unfortunately, our culture has championed a morality that basically says that the most marginalized, the most at risk in our culture, the unborn, are less than persons and don't have the rights that we as individuals do have.
Yeah. And that right to life is the beginning of all rights, right? Without that, but it's a hotly political subject, and what we're hearing from both sides talking about it is, are Christians, are they tipping the scales way too much on that subject when there's others, let's say pro-life decisions like global warming, like if that's even true, let's say it's true. Shouldn't we take care of that because that's caring about the living? What about immigrants that come over? Shouldn't we care about them because that's pro-life too? We seem to only be concerned with the person until they're born, and then we're forget pro-life after that. It's just the unborn.
Yeah. Let's just, for the sake of argument, say that was the argument.
Okay.
If someone said to me, I would fully be pro-life if you would be consistent with these other positions with me, I'd say, you got it.
Yeah, sure.
Because we're talking about people.
We're not the board, I'm pro-life.
We're not talking about theoretical issues, and we're not talking about political issues.
Right.
We're talking about human beings that are murdered.
Right.
And that's just the reality of the issue. The scale, the millions upon millions upon millions of human beings that are murdered every year, and the disregard for human life.
Right.
So because I've thought this through on a multiple facet of issues, that's so significant that I'd be more than willing to even say, even though I don't necessarily position myself on some of those other things, if positioning myself on those other things would save babies. I'd do it.
Yeah, it seems like and I don't know where I can guess, but I don't know your stance on a moral hierarchy. If someone knocks on your door in Nazi Germany and says to you, "Are you holding Jews there? Do you lie?" Is that okay to do because the bigger thing is the life of these people? There seems to be a hierarchy in that kind of even statement. If I were to say there's a difference of not giving a homeless man $5 and then shooting him. Right. So that's the difference, right? It's not that we're all people should care. I care about all people, but I don't have the funding or the means to help every human being.
Right. It's the argument, in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said, if you say you fool to someone, you've committed murder in your heart.
Right.
But would you rather have someone say you fool or shoot you in the head?
Shoot you. Yeah.
I'd rather they say you fool. So yes, there's ultimate reality of sin, and then there is a hierarchy of sin in terms of how it actually affects in a real sense humanity.
Absolutely.
Well, abortion is the ultimate affect because you are murdering the child in the womb.
Yeah.
And so I think there's such a strong biblical argument for that, and there's a strong scientific argument. Well, I've heard it argued, and you probably have as well, that if we had the technology now. What we have now, if they had it when they first did Roe versus Wade and that was presented, it would have never been approved. Because now we have so many means to actually validate the child in the womb can feel pain, moves around, has a consciousness, all these different things. And so there's no excuse biblically or scientifically to say that is not yet a full person.
Right, and it's really interesting now with the data they come with. I think it's over 84% of women who have an ultrasound won't have an abortion. That's how powerful it is when they actually see and hear the baby, right? They actually, because before, if you don't look at it, you don't think about it, you could be convinced by some kind of propaganda that it's not a living thing. But when they get the ultrasound, they make different decisions. So switching over to now the mercy side of that, when there are people who have abortions, what does a Christian do with that?
Well, I think we have to do what we do with any kind of sin. We have to forgive the sinner.
Yeah.
That's what the Bible says, that, we have to practice forgiveness. And for women who have had abortions and who later have regret, they need to receive forgiveness and be able to forgive themselves. Yeah. And I think Christians need to come alongside. I was going to say it's not enough just to kind of point the finger. In fact, we shouldn't do that. Yeah. It's a holistic approach of speaking the truth, teaching the truth, but then coming alongside, providing adoption, providing financial resources for people who it's the economics that have forced them into the place of getting abortion in the first place. We need to be doing whatever it takes to serve and love our neighbor so that we can provide a context for life.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Love it. There you go. That's it for this episode of Q&A. We'll see you guys next time. God bless.